The morning it happened began like every other Thursday. I unlocked the library's main doors at 8:45 a.m., the same way I had for nearly a quarter of a century. The old brass key fit smoothly. My hand knew the turn by heart. I'd been director of Brookfield Public Library since my daughter was in grade school. She's married with kids now. I've spent 24 years inside those red brick walls, helping people find more than just books. This library was my life's work. By 9 o'clock, the regulars had arrived. The retirees who read the paper over free coffee, the kids finishing homework on our Wi-Fi before school, the job seekers scanning want ads. I'd helped them all over the years. I'd written grant proposals to fund the computers, begged donors for money to repair the roof, fought for extended hours. When the city council cut budgets during the recession, I worked weekends without pay. I never complained. Libraries aren't glamorous, but they're the heartbeat of a community. So when Todd Carver, the new city administrator, and Elaine Brooks, our library board chair, called me into the conference room that morning, I wasn't worried. I assumed it was about next month's donor gala or our ongoing expansion project. Elaine smiled too brightly as I walked in. Todd kept his tablet in front of him like a shield. "Marian, please sit," Elaine said. Her voice was overly formal. I took the chair across from them. Todd didn't waste time. After careful consideration of the city's future needs, we've decided to restructure library leadership. Effective immediately, your position is being retired. You'll receive a severance package and, of course, we'll celebrate your legacy at the gala. I blinked. "You're firing me?" Elaine interjected. No, restructuring. Think of it as early retirement. We'll make sure your years of service are recognized." I stared at them. 24 years and they couldn't even say the word? "Why?" I asked quietly. Todd glanced at his tablet. "We need fresh energy, someone more in touch with modern efficiencies. The board agrees this is best for the library's future." I looked from one to the other. Elaine avoided my eyes. I'd trained her when she joined the board. She'd cried in my office once when her son failed out of college. I'd comforted her. And now she was pushing me out. I felt the sting behind my eyes, but held it back. "When do you want me gone?" "End of the day," Todd said briskly. "Security will help you clear out your office." I almost laughed. Security? At a library? Instead, I nodded once. Understood. As I left the room, staff members glanced up from the circulation desk. News travels fast in small places. I saw confusion, pity. Some looked away quickly. No one spoke. I walked to my office, my legs steady even as my heart raced. The space I'd made my own. Family photos, program posters, the antique card catalog I'd fought to preserve, all of it suddenly felt foreign. I boxed my belongings slowly. My assistant, Hannah, hovered by the door. "Marian, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. You are the library." I smiled faintly. "It's fine, Hannah. Really. It wasn't fine, but I wasn't about to beg. Dignity was all I had left." By 3, I was gone. No farewell party, no handshake from Todd. Just a walk through the automatic doors into the sharp October air. My little car was parked under the oak trees. As I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror at the building I'd poured my life into. They thought they could erase me. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The first week after I was retired, I barely left the house. My husband, Frank, made casseroles and tried to cheer me up, but after 30 years of marriage, he knew when to give me space. My grown kids called every night. "Mom, you should fight this," my daughter insisted. "Go to the paper, sue them." I shook my head each time. No lawyers, not yet. I wasn't ready to be the bitter old librarian whining about injustice. If I made a move, it had to count.
On the 7th morning, I sat at the desk in our spare bedroom. The quiet felt strange after years of the library's hum. I opened my personal laptop and pulled out a box from the closet. Old flash drives and CDs labeled with dates. I'd been backing up important library documents for years. Grant applications, construction records, program data. Not because I planned anything, just habit. I'm meticulous by nature. Out of curiosity, I opened the expansion project folder. We'd started the Children's Wing edition 3 years ago using a state grant. I remembered every brick of that process. But as I scrolled through invoices, something odd caught my eye. Payments to a company called Heritage Civic Consultants. I frowned. I didn't remember them. The invoices were for architectural consulting and project oversight. Thousands of dollars, signed off by Todd's office. But we already had an architecture firm, and these heritage charges didn't match any meetings or services I knew of. Curious, I checked the business registry online. Heritage Civic Consultants was registered to a P.O. box at the UPS store. No website, no employees listed. My pulse quickened. This wasn't just sloppiness. It looked like a shell company. I dug further. The payments started right after Todd became administrator and Elaine became board chair. Regular monthly amounts increasing over time, always just under the threshold that required city council approval. Someone knew how to avoid oversight. I sat back, heart thudding. They'd pushed me out not because I was out of touch, but because I'd eventually stumble on this. They thought I was too loyal, too naive. They'd made a mistake. For the next few weeks, I became a ghost with a purpose. While they thought I was home knitting, I was combing through old emails, grant reports, building permits. I met with an old friend from the State Library Association who helped me understand the grant auditing process. Everything pointed the same direction. Todd and Elaine were siphoning public funds. But I couldn't just accuse them. It had to be undeniable, and it had to be timed perfectly. One evening, Frank found me at the desk, surrounded by papers. "What are you doing, Marian?" I looked up at the man who'd seen me through every battle. "They stole from the library, Frank, from our community, and they think they got away with it." His eyes softened. "What are you going to do?" I smiled faintly. "I'm going to let them hang themselves. I just have to give them the rope." The annual donor gala was the biggest night of the year for the library. Wealthy patrons in suits, sipping wine, local news cameras rolling. Todd and Elaine would be front and center, boasting about fiscal stewardship and community trust. The hypocrisy made my stomach churn, but it also gave me an idea. If the truth came out that night, they couldn't bury it. A week before the gala, I contacted 2 people. First, my friend Alicia, an investigative reporter I'd helped years ago with some city records. She owed me a favor. Second, a council member named Ben, who had always asked tough questions about budgets. Both agreed to meet me in secret. Over coffee at a diner, I slid them packets, printouts of invoices, business registry records, audit logs. I explained the heritage scheme. Alicia's eyes widened. "This is a bombshell." I said, "Check everything yourself. I don't want this dismissed as revenge. Verify it all." She nodded. "If it checks out, it'll go public." The day of the gala arrived. I dressed in my nicest black dress, though I wasn't invited. At home, my laptop was ready. At exactly 7:45 p.m., as Todd took the podium, Alicia published her article online. "Library funds diverted. Investigation points to city officials." Ben leaked the documents to the state auditor's office at the same time. I sat at home watching the live stream on the local station's website.
Todd smiled into the microphone, oblivious. Elaine beamed beside him. Then you could see phones buzzing in the audience. Murmurs spread. A donor stood up mid-speech and asked loudly, "Todd, care to explain these shell companies you've been paying?" The camera caught Todd's face draining of color. The questions came rapid fire. Alicia's article was already trending locally. The anchor broke into the broadcast. "Breaking news! Corruption allegations against city officials!" By the end of the night, Todd and Elaine left through a side door chased by reporters. I closed my laptop slowly. For the first time since they'd shoved me out, I felt something like peace.
The fallout was swift. Within days, the state auditor's office opened an investigation. Subpoenas flew. Heritage Civic Consultants was revealed as a shell company controlled by Todd's brother-in-law. Elaine had approved every payment. They'd stolen nearly $900,000 meant for library improvements. The city exploded with outrage. Todd and Elaine were suspended pending criminal charges. Donors demanded their money back. For weeks, my phone buzzed with reporters asking for comments. I gave none. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke. One morning, Ben called. "Marian, the council wants to talk about bringing you back. Not as library director, you deserve more. How would you like to be city compliance officer, independent oversight across all departments?" I hesitated. Did I want to go back into that building to work with people who'd looked away when I was escorted out? But then I thought of the kids in the library, the programs I'd fought for. This wasn't about my pride. It was about protecting the community. "I'll consider it," I said, but I had conditions. I met with the council and laid them out. Independent budget, audit authority, no interference. To my surprise, they agreed. They needed someone clean, and everyone knew I couldn't be bought. The day I walked back into the library, the staff stood and applauded. Hannah hugged me, tears in her eyes. "You saved us, Marian." "Not me," I said softly. "The truth." Months later, Todd and Elaine pled guilty. Jail time, restitution, the works. The stolen money was recovered. The expansion project resumed, this time under real oversight. My new office overlooked the library park. I often paused to watch families reading under the trees. Frank asked me once, "Do you feel happy now?" I thought about it. The anger had burned away, replaced with something steadier. Not quite happiness, but satisfaction. I feel right, I told him. Like justice was done. I didn't need revenge headlines or applause. My victory was quieter. They tried to erase me. Instead, I wrote the final chapter. And like any good librarian, I made sure it went on the record forever.